Yes, we do.
Okay, so effect of remote work on IT security by this gentleman here with myself. I just defined IT security as measures that are taken to protect devices, infrastructure, data, and ensure that these resources are only used exactly the way you intend for them to be used. Because the focus is when we talk protection, when we talk security, people generally just look at preventing hackers, preventing break-ins, preventing fiscal theft, but then it goes beyond that because someone, maybe like your HR manager or your finance executive who has access to financial information for everybody in the office, what are they doing with the data? So being able to monitor it and ensure that they don't do what they shouldn't be doing is a major part of IT security that people overlook. So now when we look at IT security generally, especially in this period, I mean, you know that what we had before was a regular enterprise environment where people had regular businesses. You had a regular business where everybody came to, or a large percentage of people, over 90%, came to work in the office. And only maybe like salespeople or your really talented member of staff that's trying to not come to the office, then you give them time to work from home. Those are the only situations we had in the past. Now we have a situation where a large percentage of people have to work away from the office. So your method, your process, and everything now changes because you have to be able to accommodate the new realities. So in doing that, there are two scopes of responsibilities to look at. There's the responsibility of the employer to put the right things in place. There's the responsibility of the employees or regular professionals, maybe who are not employed, but who need to do remote work for people. So to ensure that everything goes the way they need to go, everybody needs to play their part. Now, from the perspective of the employer, we talk about policies and processes. As an employer, you have a business. It is your responsibility to draw up guidelines to say, okay, this is how my business needs to work. As an employee, this is what I want you to do. This is how you need to relate with your colleagues and the customer that you service and stuff. This is how we need to do the things I want you to do for me to satisfy our economic realities. So that's a part that the employees need to do. Now, the employer is responsible for coming up with the strategy, the policies, and all that. Now that we have this situation, there are a lot of policies that people ordinarily, especially business owners, didn't used to worry about. We have like acceptable use policies. That's one of the major ones. There's a remote work policy that used to be applicable only to, like I said, maybe like the salespeople who needed to work away from the office. But now almost everyone is needing to do that. So there has to be an appropriate policy that addresses it. There's a policy referred to as bring your own device. That's BYOD. That's like people who need to maybe work on their tablets, and the office is not willing to provide one for them, so they bring theirs. Now there has to be a policy around that because the data you work with, how sensitive is it? There's also the data classification or information classification policy. There was a time that MD of one of the major banks in Nigeria, he gave a speech that was meant to be for internal consumption. I think like 5 minutes or less than that after he gave his speech, people started seeing it on social media. someone shared with someone, and because it was something really, maybe it was annoying to them, before they knew it, it was awash all over everywhere. So now you need to have processes and procedures that prevent stuff like that from happening. Because are you going to say that an MD shouldn't discuss with their people? You know, so all that you need to put in place. That information classification policy takes care of that. Bring your own device. We already talked about that, and several other policies as well. Excuse me. So we have all these policies that the employer needs to focus on getting out. Now, because of the situation of coronavirus, it could have been any other thing really, but we were going to get to this point. More people will now be working away from the office. The last time we had the webinar, Jide's the poll. Okay, yeah, Jide, you're raising your hand.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that it's important for the organization to ensure that there is policy on the intended use of internet. Now, if the organization decide to restrict the internet use only for what the organization does, what if there are some other things that does not, it does not look like it relates to what the organization does, but there are people in the organization that need such things to be done. Say, I'm in HR and I need to visit, say, LinkedIn. I need to visit search engines. And those things are not part of what is the scope of the organization. It's not part of what the organization does. So how does the person still able to do that? Because whatever I'm doing on LinkedIn, on search engine, I'm still doing it for the organization. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Before you drop policies, what people do is you look at the business. You look at every aspect of a business and what needs to be done. So as an HR person, they know that there'll be need for you to access different sites that have to, because checking LinkedIn actually does have to do with being HR, because you might need to post jobs, you might need to look at job reviews, you might need to look at what other people are doing online, you might need to post articles and stuff like that. So that's fine. Searching online, you might need resources to come up with strategies and stuff. But what happens is everybody's job metrics is dimensioned appropriately. And then you look at what things they are likely to need and then grant access based on that. And there'll be times when someone needs some kind of access they don't currently have. There are situations, there are methods for automatically checking. If someone is trying to access something and they have been blocked, they can request access. And that request is noted and analyzed and then approved eventually if it's something that someone needs. So you don't have like a flat restriction for the organization. As a finance person, there's something you need access to that an HR person doesn't need access to. As an IT person, there's something you need access to that a front desk person doesn't need access to. You know, front desk people could tend to get bored a lot, so you give them access to Facebook and all that if it doesn't reduce the efficiency. So access is granted based on job roles. Not just, you don't just like clamp down on everyone. So does it answer your question? Does it?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool. So based on the poll you shared the last time, more people will be needing to work from, I think maybe about 75 to 80% of people will now need to work away from the office, either from their homes or being away from. So it has become a reality for us now. So we need to be able to put in place as much system to support the new situation we find ourselves. Now, because more people will be needing to work away from the office, the security situation would now have to evolve as well. Because see, before now, you had a physical building holding everyone, and you know that people had important data on their devices, and some people don't even let their employees take their laptops home because they have important data on the laptops. So they defined, because they had physical security, you have to check in, sign your laptop in at the security, sign it out when you go out. You can't take a thumb drive into the office because they don't want you to exfiltrate data. They lock down your email. There are some attachments. There are some file names you can't send out and all that. Now, that was security then. The situation has changed now because people are not going to be in the office. So you already set your firewall rules to deal with that. But now the data you don't want people to have access to, they need it and they can't be in the office. So they need that. If you don't give them access to it, then they won't be productive. Your work won't get done. So how do you do this? Someone is getting. So how do you get things done if you don't focus on the right kind of stuff? So now the employers need to find a way of evolving so that all those can be taken care of. That's where your methods and all that, because we've discussed the policies and all that. Now this other part will take care of that. So the responsibilities of the employers are what you guys have on your screen now. Provide the appropriate guidelines. We mentioned that. Provide policies that deal with the right kind of things. We have that. I mentioned bring your own device policy, encryption policy, remote work policy, acceptable usage policy. These are like really key aspects of IT security process that people need to focus on. Now, you can redefine the perimeter of your business. Initially, it was the office, and you had a firewall that locked down everything. People can't send PF, people can't send PNG and all that. But I mean, now you can't do that anymore because people are not even in a physical office. So how do you enforce those other parts? You know, so as an employer, you need to be able to look into that part. And the reason why I'm talking a lot about the employer part now is that there may be people who are like systems administrators, security administrators and stuff. Those are the things that they need to look into. They need to be able to find ways to do it. I mean, I could have another webinar to talk about how to do this for anyone who's interested. And for business owners, it's for you to know that it's possible to do things like this. So let's focus. Now, enhance visibility. If people are not in the office and they are using their laptops or their work devices in some certain way, it is in the interest of the business for you to be able to see everything. You need to know what's going on. You need to know how much data is going out. For instance, GD, I told you about exfiltrating data earlier. If I didn't have access to a platform that gave me visibility, if someone was stealing my data, I would not have known. But I looked at that and I saw that there was a lot of data leaving my system. What's happening? In 1 month, I'd done over 1 terabyte of traffic. So I'm like, okay, someone DDoSing me. I'm not hosting a website. So why should I? Even people, a lot of websites don't pass up to 1 terabyte per month. So, I mean, being able to have visibility into your network, your work devices, the work devices for your people, every other, your general IT infrastructure. You need to have enhanced visibility into it, to ensure that everything is fine and to nip any problems you might have in the board before it actually becomes a big problem. Now, the next thing is user education. Things are changing. Your people are working in a different way from how they used to work. So being able to teach them and stuff. And there's a lot of IT security related trainings that people take. Now, National Institute of Standards in Technology is an American company. They're like a regulatory body, and um, they also churn out statistics and stuff. So they realized that over 63% of people have security fatigue because the amount of IT security training that they get, the amount of IT security training that they get is so intense that they say, you know, when you eat a particular thing for a long time and then you get sick of eating that thing. So that happens as well. So in training your people, you need to be sure that also doesn't happen. So yes, we talked about this responsibility of the employer. So perimeter security redefinition, we talked about that. Okay, so what to implement, how to know is now that you have a new perimeter. It's no longer your office space. It's now the internet, because whenever your people have access to the internet, they will work, and you need to ensure that whether they're in the office or outside, you need to ensure that they are secure. So that's one part the employer has to play. We already talked about enhanced visibility. Now, what gives you visibility? There's implementation for the device to security information and event. They see how many times is someone logging into a particular server, how much data is a particular system passing, and so forth. And some really advanced ones have a capacity to lock down. They can clamp down. You can tell them, if this happens, do this. If this system is passing too much traffic, reduce it or cut it off. Hang on. Did IBM get kicked out? Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so like I said, anyone, please raise your hands and unmute yourself if you need to ask a question and I don't see your hand raised. Someone say something, Jide. Okay, unmute yourself if you need to talk, really. Okay, so I talked about the same security information and management systems that deal with stuff. Then we talked about user education. Don't overwhelm them. Make IT security interesting. It's hard, but I mean, it's something that you have to do to ensure that if not, your people won't take the trainings, or they might take it and they end up doing exactly the opposite of what you want them to do because of fatigue, basically. Now we also have the part that talks about the employees. Hang on. Okay, we also have the part that talks about the employee. So on the part of the employee, taking appropriate care, like due care of your devices, is one major part. You know, Jide, we'll go back to your story again. Your person who turned on their device and was live streaming their private business to everybody on Facebook. Imagine if it was company data or something that had to do with the office, you know. So that's how compromises take place. So training the people and locking down the kind of things you need to lock down. Because if your device was meant to be for a specific thing, you would require authorization before you're able to use it for something else. Authorization, not just by asking, because your device would have to be unlocked to do whatever else it wasn't originally intended to do. So now, as this is a part that concerns everyone, because whether you're an employee or not, or just a regular professional who does stuff for people, these are things you need to worry about. Physical protection is a really important aspect of IT security. If you have a laptop, irrespective of what operating system it runs on, if I have physical access to it, I can break into it. If I have physical access to your phone, I can break into it. It's normal. It's no big deal. So ensuring that your device is protected is a key aspect of this. Now, ensuring that your anti-malware, that's the application that prevents viruses and stuff from compromising your devices. Ensuring that it's up to date is another really major factor. Don't use public internet. Don't. I mean, it's in your own interest and the interest of the people you work for. You have people. You guys can see my screen, right? I've been talking to myself. If you can see my screen, please raise your hand. Hand raise, anyone, if you can see my screen. Okay, cool. Yes, one person. Okay, guys. Who else can see my screen? Give thumbs up.
Tayo can.
Tayo can. Oh, okay, great. Cool. Thanks. Okay, cool. So we'll just move then. Now we're on the responsibilities of the employees or regular professionals. So I talked about physical asset protection. You need to be sure that your device is secure every time, because physical access to your device is the easiest way to compromise it. And unfortunately, you might not even know, because data is not like money that if someone takes it, you know. If someone takes your data, you don't know. Sometimes people have access to your systems and then they get in and leave something and put something on it that makes it easy for them to be able to come and go whenever they want, and you don't even know. So physical protection is really important. Anti-malware updates, you need to be sure that your system's antivirus or whatever is up to date. You also need to be sure that you're using the right one. And there are times when your anti-malware won't help you. There's nothing you can do about it, because sometimes there's a finite time between when issues are discovered and when anti-malware businesses are able to develop a solution for it. So when that happens, you just have to find a way to keep yourself secure or not go to places you shouldn't go to. Now, I'm going to play this 1 minute video. I haven't. Okay, I'm going to play this 1 minute video. Check. This happened on a Windows 10 system with all the security patches and everything up to date, but they still had a situation where ransomware was able to infect it. So watch for a minute.
Here we see a fully patched Windows 10 system.
Under virus and threat protection settings, we see that all the Windows security capabilities are turned on, including Microsoft's anti-ransomware feature called Controlled Folder Access, or CFA. CFA's protected folders are in the default configuration, with the Documents folder being part of the list and hence protected by CFA. The folders within this file are now fine. We can open and read them. Now we run a simulated ransomware attack using standard ransomware encryption techniques. All encryption attempts result in access denied, as shown in the process monitor window. CFA functions as intended and blocks malicious encryption. Now we run a simulated ransomware attack using the discovered replace invasion technique. In this case, encryption succeeds, and all files are encrypted.
So in this situation, we had a case where everything was up to date. Of course, there's a solution to that. There's a solution to that for enterprise systems, because there are solutions you have to implement at an enterprise level, and they're expensive like that. But really, as a regular user, not clicking on what you shouldn't click on and stuff would save you from such problems. But in the meantime, just ensure that your anti-malware solution is up to date. Now, so the situation is really bad now to a level. Okay, that you guys, I don't know if what's this Age of Infinity was a movie, right? I think pretty much everyone has seen it. So we all know Thanos, right? There's a ransomware that was named Thanos because it has like really destructive power, and people can now go online and get it. It's so easy and cheap for anyone, pretty much anyone, to go and get and develop their own anti-malware. So it's not a situation where you have to be like really, really intelligent or really know a lot of IT to be able to do that. So now just pretty much anyone, and if you don't want to do it, there are places where you can recruit people. It's like paying rent for something. You can tell them, okay, build this for me, and then I'll pay something, or use something that someone already built. So that's what ransomware as a service is all about. In addition to Thanos, there's Agent Tesla. Oh, you guys heard about Hush Puppy and right? Those are some of the tools they use for business email compromise. So these things are like really easy and cheap to do. So ensuring that you protect yourself is a major aspect of staying secure, because it is very easy for anyone to. Okay, so as I was saying, look on your screen. Was it Nanocore? Nanocore is one of the tools that you can use for compromise, right? And then as of December 18th, 2019, if you had like $20, you would do it. You can procure it for now. If you're someone who is familiar with how to get into the dark web, if you get into the dark web, you'll be able to do it for free. You download and weaponize it and use it as you please. So now we talked about public network. Public networks, like you get to a place and then you see free Wi-Fi and you just jump on it and start to use it. It's something you shouldn't do. If you have to use it at all, what you need to do is ensure that you have VPN, virtual private network tool. When you do that, to a large extent, it helps protect your traffic. It doesn't shield you, but you might be able to pass some traffic securely. Now, one time I was at a place and they had a popular Nigerian service provider, internet service provider. I got there. I got there, and then they had this Wi-Fi that people could connect to. I connected to it, and then I dug a little, and then I was able to get administrative access. Now, after connecting to it, I was able to see everybody's traffic. So if I wanted to take stuff or extract credit card data, get people's email passwords and stuff, you could have done it. That's what happens when you are on free Wi-Fi, because a lot of people don't even know, but these things are there just for the taking. So if you have to use public or free Wi-Fi, then ensure that you have your VPN turned on. So DNS hijack is when the DNS server is the server that's responsible for pointing your internet request in the right direction. So when it's hijacked, what it means is that some other person takes control of the infrastructure, and then if you want to go to Facebook, they can redirect it somewhere else. Or they can create a page that looks like Facebook, and then you think you're on Facebook, you pass your login credentials to them, they have access to that. You might not even know that anything has happened, but they could intercept that. The MITM is the man in the middle attack. So that and DNS hijack a lot of the time go hand in hand. So someone hijacks your DNS traffic, it steps in the middle, intercept your traffic, extract data, forward your traffic to where it needs to be. Meanwhile, you're just there, you don't even know that anything has happened. Next thing, you're complaining that someone has hacked your Facebook. So, I mean, that's how these things happen. But you need to be aware and do due diligence to ensure you don't fall victim. With the advent of coronavirus, there's like lots and lots of emails and links and stuff. People telling you about or you just get emails from people that you did ask for. They sent you like attachments or links and ask you to click. So clicking on stuff like that could portray data, it will steal your credentials, stuff like that. So if you have there are some anti-malware solutions that will protect your system. Not every anti-malware is able to do it. Some are able to, some others are. So ensure that you invest in the right one. I mean, it might be, I mean, it's not so expensive to get one. So ensure that you get one, or switch to an operating system that doesn't need something that intense. Linux is easy. I mean, you can also pretty much do everything you need to do, and it doesn't require for you to have. It doesn't open you up as much as Windows does. But the problem with Linux is that when it actually opens you up, it does open you up like big time, because people who understand how to use it are the ones trying to attack you. So yes, phishing. If anybody has questions, I said, I mean, all you need to do is just raise your hands or post it. So phishing, okay, I talked about VPN. Ensure that you have that. There are some free solutions for VPN that you could use. And if you work with an enterprise grade system, if your laptop is a company laptop, your business, your company should be able to invest, the company should be able to invest in a VPN solution. And if it's a small business, I mean, there are solutions, there are also free solutions or close to free solutions for small businesses. We're breezing in. Okay, so I mean, okay, Jide, you raise your hand.
Yes, I was going to ask.
At some
Is
point,
there a way?
I wasn't sure if anybody was even hearing because I was asking if anybody was seeing my screen and nobody said anything.
Oh, because everybody were muted or something.
I was locked up for a while.
Oh.
I kept trying to get back in.
Okay, I was going to ask. I know I've also heard people say that they are not given internet to work from home, so you are just like you are your own, and you are expected to work. Now, so if my organization did not give me the internet to work from home, and they expect me to work from home, so it is on my own volition to decide when my internet is working or not working.
That's an HR problem. That's an HR question. I mean, it's not something.
Okay, it's an HR.
Answer. But I mean, from here, pretty much everyone has internet access, and then.
So what I was going to ask really was, what if the organization provide the internet? Is there a way for the organization to know when when the internet is working and I'm saying it's not working from the security perspective?
Yeah. So yes. I used to have internet access for my important users, like users who needed to work remotely. Okay, I used to have internet access for them. And then I had access to a portal that would let me know. People would call my guys to say, oh, okay, internet is not working. And then they would log it and then I'll see. And I'm like, no, see, this person is passing traffic. So, I mean, you could be passing like minimal traffic and then you say your internet is slow. That's understandable. But to say that you do not have internet access is something entirely different. And then people, usually when you when you have like corporate plans, you have access to a place to monitor. That's a part of visibility. You know, I talked about visibility from the employer's perspective. That's one of the things you can use to see it. And if you're an employer like a big time, maybe SME, you could, because VPN will most probably be from you. People are using VPN to connect to the office. You could also use the traffic analysis based on that to know. So if you are the one buying data for your users, you should have a portal where you can check to see if data is decrementing or not. If data is decrementing like on a real-time basis and you see that and your user is telling you they can't pass traffic, you ask them, okay, well, it might be true. So you resort to your service providers. You say this so and so user, the data is decrementing, but they are saying that they can't pass traffic. So that should be resolved. But then there are tools that you can use to lock people in, depending. A user might have a device and they're only meant to use it for office business, not for any other thing. So you could lock it down. When you lock it down, you have total access. Some are hybrid. You could still gain access to their tools that a regular employer will be able to use. The IT team will be able to use to see that.
Okay. All right.
Cool. So, I mean, as I was saying, IT security is like an arms race. All right. One party is doing something bad, the other party is trying to overcome them. So it's not something you don't. For instance, if malware comes out, if a strain of malware comes out today and you develop a solution for it, that's not the end. Some other thing is going to come out tomorrow. So it depends on how much the people are able to be on their toes. But you as a regular user, all you need to do is just watch out and do the necessary things you can do. And like I said, physical security is something, if you don't get any other thing, ensure that you get that. So guys, thank you. Yes, that's the official end of the presentation.